What's up, everybody? Alex here. Welcome back to another video. Welcome to a little bit of a different setup, and you'll see why here in a second. So, summer vinyl tag time. This was put together by Dillon down at Noble Records. Big fan of Dillon, big fan of Noble Records. I actually tried to get most of his store exclusives when he does them, but he put together the summer vinyl tag. So, if you don't know, every year, usually around January 1st, as soon as the year starts, someone puts together a vinyl tag, and it's just a lot of fun to, pull a bunch of records and to bring everybody together and to show a bunch of stuff. And it's usually 20 questions, and so it's a lot of pulling a lot of these different things. But I have finally pulled everything that I need to pull, giggity, and I'm looking forward to it. So. Yeah, hope you enjoy this. If you haven't done this already, hope you jump on, and it's a ton of fun. And yeah, again, the setup's a little bit weird, but there's a question on here that I'll need to pull something random. So there's that. So let's get into it. 20 questions. An album or song with summer in the name. So I went ahead and I did both because I can. But the first one I'm going to go with, and the first thing that came to mind was 1975. And the hissing of summer lawns from Joni Mitchell. I think this artwork was from her. I always make fun of this record cover because I'm like, that is one plump snake. Thick boy. But yeah, definitely, she's moving still in her sort of experimentally jazzy type phase, which I love, but I really love all eras of Joni. So the hissing of summer lawns from 75. But then I was thinking of a song, and I was like, you know what? I love this band a lot. And this might be my favorite song from the band. And yeah, it's from the Van Hagar era. I love Summer Nights and My Radio. That's all we need, baby. Yeah, love Summer Nights. I mean, if you think about just the perfect summer song, oh man, Summer Nights is so good. I absolutely love that song. So there you go. A little bit of Joni, a little bit of Van Hagar for question number one. Question number two is latest heavy pull. So this is open to some interpretation here. Heavy pull could just be something that you are finding yourself listening to a ton and always going to. It could be like that recent mega pull grail that you just got that you are just in love with. But for me, I am going to go with this record. And it's a band I've talked about a lot, but I'm going to keep on talking about them. This has become one of my prized possessions, I guess, and I got a great deal on it a while ago, but this is Sabotage Gutter Ballet. My favorite Sabotage record. Most people would probably go with the record that came before this, In the Hall of the Mountain King, but I personally just love how progressive and symphonic this one is. This came out in 1989. This is an original, super clean. I think I got this for $40, which is still a lot for a record, but this goes, I think this is about $100 record, depending on conditions. So, Sabotage, if you don't know, just classic, amazing 80s American heavy metal. And I've just been pulling so much Sabotage recently, and we're going to keep on doing it. So, that's number three. That was number two. Number three is a whack-a-mole, and that's why I'm set up this way. If you don't know whack-a-mole, it's basically a random record pull, right? How well do you know your collection? And this is when you just pull something random from all of the things. Now, here's the thing. I got basically A's up here, and then I think down to G down here. So I know it's going to be A through G. But let's just pull something down here. Let's see what we have. Oh, how fitting this actually is. So this is for Dillon down at Noble Records, and I pulled Elias Hulk Unchained. So this is a Noble Records exclusive, but it was actually pressed and reissued by Garrison. So if you don't know Garrison, I think they're a Spanish company, record label. They reissue a ton of hard rock, late 60s, early 70s hard rock, super rare stuff. So this is Elias Hulk. This is hard rock. I believe they're from the UK. Pretty progressive. That was reissued by Garrison. And then Dillon over at Noble Records actually does his own color variants. So this, I believe, was on a form of, let's see, I think it was on a red, maybe? Yeah. So that's like the Dillon Noble exclusive color variant there. But this is a crazy record. Again, what's cool about these reissues is that originals of these sometimes go for thousands of dollars. There are a lot of times these like forgotten bands or whatever, but yeah, kind of fitting. Pull the Elias Hulk, a Dillon Noble Records exclusive in the Whack-A-Mole. Awesome stuff. Number 4, an album cover with an animal on it. I'm going to show this. This came out last year. It made my top records of 2023, and it's from a great modern day progressive metal band from the UK. And that is Haken Fauna, with one of my favorite album covers of all time. And so it's called Fauna, but the whole record has sort of like this, animal, biological sort of side to it, and there's animals all over it. So obviously, I mean, just how clear this artistry and illustration is there, obviously with the elephant, monkey on the inside gatefold, you got some birds, even on the back, you got that fine looking gentleman back there. Yeah, I love this record. But truthfully, I love this cover even more. So yeah, Haken Fauna, some great modern day progressive metal. An album with a great story. Okay, so there's two ways to interpret this one too, right? This could either be, an album that you have that just has a great story with it, or maybe it's an album that tells a story. So I'm going to kind of go with both here. When I first started collecting records about 4 years ago, I remembered that the band I was in high school, the singer of the band had gone on to school at Belmont College of Music in Nashville, I believe. And at some point during that time, early after he had gotten there, he had worked with a local recording studio, and he had recorded an album. And this was back in 2009 or 10, so really still a little bit before the vinyl boom, right? Like he was really into like everything Jack White's doing and all that kind of stuff, all analog type of stuff. And so I remember that he released a record on vinyl, and I remember looking it up in Discogs, and there was one available from a local shop in Nashville, and I had to grab it just because, the funny thing is with this record, and here it is here, it's Chris Wilde is the name of it, and it's so funny too, right? Like you can read this hype sticker: version analog, recorded to tape, no punch-ins, mixed on tape, mastered on tape, cut to vinyl from tape. The old AAA type stuff. Funny enough, so this is Chris again. Great friends with him back in high school. He's currently the touring guitarist, backing vocalist in Coven, if you remember that sort of Chicago heavy metal band with the female singer. But what's cool about this record, cool blue vinyl. But also there are some tracks on here that he recorded that I remember playing with him back in high school. And so it was really just cool to have that and add it to the collection. And, obviously I'm not on the record, but in some ways the songs that we used to play are, and that's just really cool. And the second record I'll show, it's one of my favorite concept records of all time. It's from 1994 from one of my favorite progressive bands of all time, and that is Marillion and the record Brave. This is a bit of a downer record, 1000%. The story with this record is that the singer at the time, Steve Hogarth, he had heard a story about a young lady who was found walking a bridge in the middle of the night somewhere in England. And when the authorities found her, she refused to talk to them. She wouldn't say anything. They couldn't get any information from her at all. And so finally they had to do a call out on local radio to see who was missing a kid. It was the only way that they were able to get in contact with her parents, guardians, family. And so eventually she did get reconnected with her family, but it was a very weird thing without any sort of explanation. So that was the inspiration for this record. And what's so crazy about this is this is such a dark record. It deals with some pretty brutal subject matters that you could imagine, a lot of mental health issues, a lot of abuse issues. What is so wild about this record, though, that I love from the creativity standpoint, musically it's just great. The writing is fantastic. But side D has a double groove. And what that means is depending on when you drop the needle and depending what groove it locks into, you will get one of two endings. And so there's one ending that's a positive ending where the young lady returns home, she's reunited with her family, everything works out great. And then the alternative, it's a darker, downer ending where it's just 7 minutes of water splashing up against rocks. And so incredibly, just very deep and emotive. But I just love this record so much, and I love the story of it. So there's that. Let's keep it moving here. Number 6, an album that we would be surprised to see in your collection. So I just did 3 surprises of some different music in my collection, but I didn't include this one. I'll include it for this one. And this is the only record I own from this person. Don't really care for anything else she does, but this record plays a really important role in my life. And that is Born to Die from Lana Del Rey. Yeah, you didn't think I'd be showing some Lana Del Rey, did you? So quick story. This record came out in 2012. In 2013, I was on a service trip when I was in college. We started in Washington State in Seattle and ended in Washington, D.C. It was about 2 months, and I was driving across the country. So I had a lot of time in the van that I was driving. And my van mate, Taylor, was obsessed with this record. He was playing this record, streaming it all summer. And I still remember all of these songs so much. Video Games was so good. Diet Mountain Dew, it's the national anthem. Summertime Sadness. I mean, there was so much good stuff. As soon as I hear this record, I go right back to 2013 and remember hearing all these songs. I don't own any other Lana Del Rey. Nothing against her. It's just not really my thing. But I love this record, and I go back in time every time I hear it. Cheap Heat. This is what I show for Cheap Heat whenever someone asks for it. It's jazz fusion. If you want to get into jazz fusion, you don't know where to start, you're overwhelmed by it, I could not recommend this record enough. And it's cheap all the time. This is a $5 record, a $7 record, a $1 record, depending on where you're at. And that is Jean-Luc Ponty, Enigmatic Ocean. Jean-Luc Ponty is a French violin player. Don't give me like a violin player like it's electric violin. He's basically just up there ripping. This came out in 1977. What's great about this record, obviously, he is amazing, but it's the lineup. First of all, you get Alan Holdsworth, who's arguably one of the greatest jazz fusion guitarists of all time, just ripping on there. And Daryl Stuermer is no slouch either. You also have Steve Smith on this record. Yes, that's Steve Smith, who would be in Journey in a few years on this record. But 2 huge epics on here, the Enigmatic Ocean, parts 1 through 4, and then what closes out side 2, The Struggle of the Turtle to the Sea. Boy, that sounds like a fun jam, doesn't it? Struggle of the Turtle to the Sea. So if you're into jazz fusion, want to get into it, check out Jean-Luc Ponty. This is such a cheap record, but it absolutely rips. I could not recommend this enough. It's one of the best jazz fusion records of all time. I will say that, and it's cheap as hell. Let's see here. A 45 or alternate format. I'm going to show this one. I feel like I show this band in a lot of my videos, but I don't care. I don't do a lot of 45s, only really collect ones that mean a lot to me. And this is my favorite band of all time, arguably, just based on the emotional connection. And it had the picture sleeve, and I love the song, and it's just cool. And that is Photograph from Def Leppard from 1983. Funny, with the side 2, the B-side on this one is Action Not Words, which was never really a hit. I do think it was released as like the 4th or 5th single from Pyromania, but was never really a hit. I don't think they play it live ever. But just very cool. So it's fun to have kind of the picture sleeve on that. And yeah, Photograph. Great song about Marilyn Monroe off Pyromania in 1983. So absolutely. Favorite music documentary or biopic? Well, I'll give a shout out to my girl Emma over at 8 Vinyl Low. She also talked about this biopic. But to me, this not only is it an amazing movie and my favorite biopic of all time, it really did actually change my outlook on music and on this artist and this band. And I'm going to talk about the movie Love and Mercy from 2015, which is sort of semi-based on Pet Sounds. It's really more of a Brian Wilson story and kind of chronicles his life, both within the Beach Boys and some more of the personal stuff going on in his life. But a star-studded cast. I remember seeing the movie in theaters. I was out actually working in California in the South Bay and Silicon Valley area, actually. And I remember I went out on a whim by myself to one of the local independent theaters that was showing it. It had a really limited sort of theatrical release. And I went and saw it, and I was just blown away by the acting, the performances, the writing, everything about the movie just absolutely blew my mind. I went back and saw it again the next day. And yeah, I'm showing Pet Sounds because it made me fall in love with this record, with Brian Wilson, a whole new respect for the Beach Boys, and especially Brian Wilson. And yes, I'll say it, his genius in so many ways. So yes, if you've never seen Love and Mercy, please go see it. John Cusack plays, I guess, aged Brian Wilson. You got Elizabeth Banks playing Melinda Ledbetter. Paul Giamatti playing Dr. Landy. I mean, just amazing. So yeah, go check it out. Number 10, a box set. So I'm going to show this one because this is a bit of a prized possession. This is really cool. And also this is a band that just announced their retirement and I want to give them a shout out. And so this box set is Aerosmith, The First Decade, but it's a promo box set. So this is the first, I think, 6 or 7 LPs, all white label promos that were reissued, I believe, in the early 80s. So I think the last one that might be on here was Greatest Hits. But it's a cool promotional box set that only got sent out, I believe, to radio stations. And again, it includes all the 7 LPs. This was a gift from a family friend of mine. Box is a little bit rough around the edges, but I don't think the LPs were ever played at all. And so this is a super dope box set. Love this, and it's probably one of the more valuable pieces in my collection that I just love. So shout out to Aerosmith, one of the best just rock and roll bands of the 70s and really ever from the States. So yeah, I'm good with that. Let's put that back. All right, cool. Next is going to be a most trashed record. Well, here's the thing. This is trashed, but it doesn't skip. It doesn't, I mean, it clicks and pops and does all those things, but it doesn't skip. It doesn't do anything. It is just noisy as hell. And I got it for $1. I could have used this for another question, but I got it for $1. But this is pretty trashed, and I wanted to show it. And that is an original first press of Maggot Brain that I got out of a dollar bin. You know, I think they just sort of looked at the label and they're like, oh, there's no way this thing is going to play. I don't think they play tested it. And yes, again, it is noisy. It is trashy, but as all of you probably know, not especially with Maggot Brain, but a lot of these Parliament Funkadelic records, they're party records. They're all trashed. It looks like this cover is kind of coming apart too, but it plays all the way through, no skips. It's just noisy as hell, but it was $1. How am I going to pass that up? So yeah, it's trash, but that's okay. Number 12, a local album. I'm going to show an artist that I love. He's from Columbus, Ohio, jazz artist, blind, and was a part of the Ohio State School for the Blind, which was the first public school in the United States for the blind or for visually impaired, and that is Roland Kirk. This was before he changed his name. This is Left and Right on Atlantic. I think this came out maybe 1969. Yeah, I mean, this is some Roland Kirk. He's interesting. You know, some of the stuff is really wild and out there. He'd be playing multiple instruments at the same time. He'd be blowing into all different types of horns and ringing bells and just making a ruckus. He would be doing some spoken word stuff, some stand-up comedy stuff. But he is Columbus, Ohio's own, man. So I am trying my bestest to complete all of this. Everything Roland Kirk ever did. He was on Atlantic for a while. And I think he had a big stretch on Mercury as well. And maybe another label in there somewhere. But yeah, straight out of Columbus. All right, an album from a far away land. Oh shit, I didn't grab the record. The record I was going to show was from a band called the Teskey Brothers. This is Josh and Sam Teskey. They're 2 Australian cats who, I mean, they are a bluesy, rootsy, soulful, amazing, fairly new band. I think their debut might have been 2019 or so. I give a shout out to my brother Zach, who sent me a couple Teskey Brothers records that blew me away. Yeah, if you're into bluesy, rootsy, soulful music, check those guys out. They're from Australia, and so I wanted to give them a shout out. Okay, future Alex here. I thought I was just going to post the video as it was without actually showing these records, but that was unfair. I want to show these records from the Teskey Brothers because they're badass and they're just awesome. So the first one is called Half Mile Harvest. I think this is their debut back in 2018. Awesome. And then this one came out, I believe, maybe the following year. Run Home Slow. Again, Teskey Brothers, Josh and Sam Teskey out of Down Under, Australia. And yeah, amazing, bluesy, soulful, rootsy, awesome stuff. Check it out. Okay, back to my bullshit. But this leads perfectly into the next question, which was a soundtrack. And I'll be honest, it's August here. It's hot as fuck all the time, and I'm tired of the heat, and I cannot wait for fall. Why is fall the best? You get football, you get sweaters, you get everything. But what is the most important thing about fall? It's one of my favorite soundtracks of all time, the Rocky Horror Picture Show. I love the Rocky Horror Picture Show. I think it's absolutely brilliant. I think the songs are great. Meatloaf's role is great. And so this is kind of a fun one. The Rocky Horror Picture Show original Australian cast album. So yeah, soundtrack kind of. But yeah, also from Australia. There's the Teskey Brothers tie-in. Okay, y'all get it. Thank you for coming. Your highest recommendation. I show this all the time, and I'm keep on showing it. I cannot recommend Blue Ash any more than I already have. Blue Ash, amazing power pop band, 1973 out of Youngstown, Ohio. They put this record out. They put out another studio album, Front Page News, a couple years later. On Playboy Records, and then they were sort of done. I had a chance to interview Frank Sesich on my channel. It was just an amazing experience to have a conversation with him. This was released on Mercury Records again back in 1973. If you like the Raspberries, if you like Badfinger, if you like Big Star, if you like that perfect, amazing early mid-70s power pop, you'll love this record. It's called No More, No Less from Blue Ash. Go find it, listen to it loud. Highest on my want list. Okay, so I obviously can't show anything because it's on my want list. The only thing I am missing from the Dream Theater discography is Train of Thought. It's about $180 to $250 record. It was only reissued on vinyl, I think, once through Music on Vinyl. Originally, it was released in 2003, and I don't think it was actually pressed to vinyl until several years later. So if any sweet people out there want to buy me Train of Thought from Dream Theater, that is the only Dream Theater record from their studio catalog that I am missing. And the second, really a big rail, many of you know one of my favorite bands of all time is Badfinger. Before they were Badfinger, they were called the Ivies, and they released their debut record called the Ivies, but it was never actually released in the UK. It was only released in 3 countries, I believe Japan, Italy, and then maybe one other like very random country that I don't remember. Those are like $300, $400, or $500 records. Some of those songs ended up being on Magic Christian Music a couple years later, but I've always thought that'd be such a cool record store day release, would be getting that self-titled from, it's not self-titled, the name of the record is called Maybe Tomorrow from the Ivies, who would later become a Badfinger. A channel shout out. I want to shout out my man, Mark Morris. Mark Morris is one of the funniest people. He makes me laugh more than anyone most of the time in the vinyl community. He started off around the same time I did back in the fall, I think, and really started as a Beatles channel. He was all in on the Beatles, and then he said, you know what, this might be pigeonholing me a little bit, so he kind of backed off, and now it's just Mark Morris. But not only do I love his comedy, I actually just really love how he does his channel. His whole thing is I'm going to talk about music and things in my life that mean a lot to me, and I think that's just the greatest. So not only is he hilarious, I just love the way he talks about his life experiences. He talks about why albums are important to him, why he loves them, what was going on in his life at the time. And yeah, go check out Mark Morris. Just, again, hilarious, but also a really, really great channel all the way around. A silver lining in vinyl. So like a black cloud and a silver lining. Sorry, it was a silver lining joke. Okay, great. I guess the idea here is to give something positive. The whole idea is that every black cloud has a silver lining, but I don't know that the vinyl community is a black cloud. I think the silver lining is community, and what I mean by community, it's the friends you make, right? Like, I think that's the big thing. I think some of us feed into some of the, whatever you want to call it, the drama-rama or things that people get into for reasons unknown to me. But for me, it was all about wanting people I could share this experience with, because I didn't have any friends I could really experience it with. So let's meet the internet people, and I've been lucky enough to meet some of these people in person, and they're just amazing. So yeah, number 19 is a steal of a deal. So I'll show this because I got this for about $40. And I got it from a record store where the record store owner is very, very particular with his grading. Love it. It's my favorite record store in town, where if it is not fully VG plus, he will not say it's VG plus, and he will say it's VG, even if I would be like, actually, it's probably closer to VG plus. I got this for $40. I've seen this record for $300, $400, $500, $800 at some record shows because y'all are insane. But it is the coveted Led Zeppelin 2 RL pressing. $40. He said it was VG. Cover is pretty damn good. It does have like a little bit of a snag there on the tear, but whatever. And yeah, the RL sound as good as everybody talks about them sounding. They're amazing. So $40 on that is a pretty damn good deal, because again, when I hear it, I think a little bit more VG plus. And last is a promo, which does have a Noble Records connection, kind of. For all of you who know me, know I love Coal Mine Records out of Loveland, Ohio. They've become a huge obsession rabbit hole for me. Classic soul, funk, R&B type stuff that comes out of there. Well, one of the first records that came out of the Coal Mine camp. Terry Cole was the founder and the owner of Coal Mine. Well, a lot of that was because he was in a band called the Jive Turkeys. And this is Bread and Butter, a promo. So what's very cool about Coal Mine is they are still doing white label promos that they are sending out to their people, their record stores, you know, their marketers, whatever you want to call it. And what's cool about this is that this is Coal Mine 12,003. So this was the actual first LP that was ever released on Coal Mine. It features Terry Cole playing the bass. This is a wild record too. And in fact, this was one of the first Noble Record exclusives that Dillon actually did years ago when this came out. So Terry Cole on bass, he's the owner of Coal Mine. Got a chance to interview him as well. And to have a promo of it, a white label promo, how fucking cool is that? So there you go. That's it. Hope you all enjoyed it. For better or worse, thanks for hanging out. And we did this under 25 minutes. Not bad. All right, people, be good out there. We'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye.